you're literally just creating two political parties where the message is, from one, don't be a pussy, and the other is, don't be an asshole. And you got to pick one. People don't think that they can change anything with politics. Anything structural. If it's structural, it is by definition not political. That is what we believe, because that's what we believe. And why do we believe it? Because it's what we live. It is just our lived experience, ironically enough. Our collective lived experience is capitalist realism. It is that because we stopped having a class adversarial relationship at the top level of government in the 70s, and that the democratic project has basically been dead since then. And that as a result of that, the two parties don't argue about things like how long should people work? What should be the conditions of their work? What should be remuneration? What should be the standard of living for an American? Those questions are not political to people, even if we talk about them sometimes high-mindedly. And what that means is that at this point, I feel like if you get in front of a bunch of people, casuals, who are going to just come into the polls because it's so easy now, they're going to hear you say, I want to get Medicare for all, and I want to make everybody have free college. Just like Corbyn did, because Corbyn got to run a general election where he got to make his message spread in a country where they have a fucking parliamentary system where if he got in power, he could actually have done some stuff because they don't have our stupid fucking constitution. It's a majority rule. And yet, in the red redoubt there, the red wall, they went for Brexit because Brexit was more real to them than the stuff Corbyn was promising, because they didn't think he was telling them the truth. And even though some people are going to be disarmed by the genuineness of a guy like Corbyn and Bernie, and that's going to get you some people, it's not going to get you enough people. And a lot of people are going to see it, and they're going to be like, yeah. And then they're going to go back to the big questions, which are cultural and identity-based. And I think one of the big reasons that there's a disconnect here, and that like the political class, and by that I mean literally people who pay attention to politics at all, and give investment into their vote, they believe that when they think of a political party, they think of it as a historical entity. And they think of it as having a history of things that it's done. And as having a coherent platform that involves things like distribution of resources. But the thing is, that's only if you learn that shit and keep it in your head when you think about the Democratic Party. For these casual voters who will come in, if there's a breeze, they will be blown into the voting booth. They only see the party in front of them. And the Democratic Party is the party that just says, don't be an asshole, in a wheedling voice. Say, come on, guys. Do we have to be so mean? Because, as Trump says, Trump's big rejoinder to the kids in cages is, who's built the cages? And the thing is, we're going to have cages. And the question becomes, culturally, are we going to be an asshole about having the cages, or are we going to be a fucking pussy about having the cages? And that's the difference. Liberals say, we got to have cages, but don't be an asshole about cages. Liberals, Republicans say, look, we got to have cages, don't be a fucking pussy about cages. That's it. Those are the two parties. As people understand them, as cultural signals. Like those things in the older generations, the people that make up the leadership of these political parties and are largely like disproportionately heard in its culture, such that it is its political culture, its self-conscious political culture. They all remember a time, lived in their lives, when there was some sort of ideological coherence and meaning to the Democratic Party that involved material relationship. But people living now, certainly ones who just decided to vote in 2020, do not have that. They see the don't be an asshole party, and the don't be a pussy party. And whether you want to be an asshole or a pussy in America comes down to, did you go to... Someone say it. Someone say it. College. Thank you. That's it. Boop. Educational attainment. Did you go to the etiquette school? A thing that used to get you entry into a real middle class, right? Because you get a professional degree and it would give you an access to a professional lifestyle. Those are gone, but the attendant social prestige is still there. And so people still go to college and consider themselves part of this thing, even though it doesn't get them anything but the same gig economy job everybody else has. But it changes the way they vote. But not on a material basis, because that's not part of our politics. And then you have the people and in college you learn, you know, hey, we're moving papers around in here. We're muffling all the horrible shit that our system creates, all the blood that we create. Well, we create a bunch of bullshit language that we talk to each other nicely, good phrases, and we raise our pinkies up. We learned this from the British when we talk about how many fucking slave barges we've just moved through the port of fucking Equatorial Guinea. We have acculturated ourselves to the brutality of extraction, of being at the top of a pyramid of human misery. And so we've learned how to kind of let off the steam of the anxiety of living that every day, the horror of it, in the form of liberal politesse. Like, it used to be manners, it used to be religion, then it became manners after God died. And that manners used to be, you know, in the old reactionary era, pinky extended, stiff upper lip shit. Manners now need post-60s, mommy, we all love each other, hug box, snowflake stuff, if you want to call it. And so you go through that fire and you get the message, don't be a fucking asshole. Now, the thing is, a lot of guys are going to hear, even going through that system, just because you think, I'm actually going to make money out of this. Like the ones who go into college thinking, hey, I'm going to really get a career out of it, the suckers, in other words, they're going to come out reactionary. Because fuck this, you know what, I want to be an asshole. Because the don't be an asshole thing, it's so awfully condescending and sadistic and contentless. It has no meaning related to anyone's actual lives. It says, keep your voice down. We're trying to study. And what if you don't fucking want to study? What if you don't fucking want to study, bitch? What am I studying for? You used to be able to say, I'm studying to get a job, but now that's not it. I'm studying so I can sit around with another bunch of people and pretend that I'm part of a fucking cognitive elite? Are you fucking kidding me? But one of the things about that was once you're out of that, there's the fucking sunk cost. And it's like, shit, I'm not backing. I'm not going back. I'm not going to be like my dad. No, I'm a good leftist. I'm a lib. And it's going to affect you regardless of what your gender demo is or race or whatever. But if you didn't have that experience, if those manners and the anxiety, the social anxiety related to being aware of things like privilege didn't like seep into you and like become constitutive of your ability to enjoy yourself, which you can only get in those experiences of collegiate brainwashing, then what do you know? You don't fucking give a shit. And that means when someone tells you to keep your voice down and tells you to don't be an asshole, you're not thinking, you know what, you're right. You're thinking, you're lying. You're just saying that to get me to be quiet because you're a fucking selfish asshole like we all are, and you're saying some bullshit about, oh, we're gonna all get good grades on the thing. It's disingenuous. It's a lie. Oh, the cage babies. You built the cages. And it's true. Because the conditions of American politics assume that there will be climate catastrophe, there will be pandemic that will never be stopped, there will be continued economic bottoming out, there will be people killing themselves in greater and greater number, indirectly, there will be just social collapse. And the replacement with just the mere, attenuated, nerve endings of pure stimulus response. The people who can bury themselves in the internet to find some, reason to keep moving forward. Imagine frontier they can walk through into the digital realm while everybody else just dissolves. And we are seeing this with the vote. We're seeing this with the vote. Race is being, we're seeing the poll. Now, the biggest weight, the most dramatic one you can see it is Latinos. And of course people say, those Latino men, it's the machismo. It's like, well, that's kind of true in a vague sense, in the sense that the Don't Be an Asshole party is feminine, culturally marked, and the Don't Be a Pussy party is masculine. And so if that's just down to boys versus girls, if politics is just boys versus girls, and you think you're a guy, well, why wouldn't you pick guys? Unless you wanted the girls to like you. And you only learn that when you're sitting around with the other kids at the fucking tea party in college. So if it's the dudes rock party and the hens party or whatever, I don't know. A woman should name the equivalent of the dudes rock party, because obviously this is not dudes rock. It's awful. It's toxic masculinity. It is. It's awful. It's bad. Its political expression is noxious and awful. The policies it proposes are terrible. But they're the same policies and the same outcomes that the Democrats do. They're just coded differently. And so because Latinos do not experience race in America the way that black people do, because no one in America experiences race the way black people do, and the idea that, like, because we invented racism, through capitalism, but like branding black labor to keep it, trackable in absence of greater technological ability. Like, if they had chips in people's wrist that could like blow up if you weren't working enough, they wouldn't need a color system. It was that I'm taking people to the new world. I don't want them to first run away and start a farm with the Indians. It's just a hell of a lot harder to do if you have a completely alien culture and fucking a notifiable color difference that marks you as out of place, if not accounted for. And so, but then we took all the people outside of this, mostly liberal whites, basically created these theories where like they listened to minorities, they listened to lived experiences of being a minority, but then they took them and applied them to the only rubric they knew, which is white and black. And Latinos do not experience race the way that black people do. And the evidence for it is this fucking election. Like, think of the way that that Trump guarantees that he will never get, no Republican will get more than 10% of the black vote, right? It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. He might have done a little better with some black men, but that's the ceiling for, and if you think about it, when you think of the way every other demographic breaks down in this country, that's an insane statistic. Especially when you consider how many black people there are in this country. That's a crazy amount of real estate that they are ceding and cannot even hope to get off the block. Meanwhile, Latinos are fluid. And even though he went hard anti-Hispanic, he went hard anti-immigrant, hardcore anti-immigrant, and that said, oh God, what are they going to do? He actually didn't do that bad. He did a little better than Romney, I believe, with Latinos. And then, what's this? He's done even better again. Because all that stuff about the kids in cages, it's not experienced as like that level, at the visceral thing. Like the BLM stuff, like every police killing, I think, it reverberates through the black community in like a shockwave. But like kids in cages, if you're an American Latino, there are so many different things that can mean, from being a fucking Gusano in South Florida to like a fourth generation Mexican American in Texas or something. You're an American, and those kids in cages aren't, and that's deeper. They're not your fucking kids. They're from fucking, they're from fucking El Salvador. I don't know those fucking people. They're not my kin, the way that like George Floyd's death is felt as like a collective attack by black people. And so that means they're not going to respond to race the way black people did, which means they're not going to be the malleable mass that the college-educated elite that make up the Democratic Party can mold to their liking. Oh no, what's this? It's packing away. Oh no, our stuff's only working on the college-educated ones. Oh shit, what about the rest of them? Oh no, oh what's this? The society's breaking down along class lines. Oh look, they're going away. And what is that? They went to the Dudes Rock Party. They fucking exiled themselves to the Dudes Rock Party because that's what they care about. They care about dudes rocking. They don't care about some Mexicans in Mexico hate Central American immigrants. What the fuck do you think American Mexicans, people who are American, remember, none of these people are going to get an ICE raid. By definition, they're voting in an American election. And so they see this as like, look, I'm in America. I have a barbecue. I don't want some fucking guy who speaks like what, some Central American Indian language coming up to me and taking my fucking grill or like asking me to wash my windows. Fuck that. We got to have a barrier. How do we have a barrier? We have a fucking wall. We're going to have cages. There's going to be kids. Oh God, don't be a fucking pussy about it.